Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Talk Shine Your Light. Shari Hembry here, author of Journey of the Lightworker. I have a fabulous guest today, Zissis Liolios. Zissis and I met at a mutual friend's house, Lisa McCourt, for an event that she was having about a year and a half ago, I'd say. We've just gotten back in touch with each other, and I love his energy. Zissis truly is a humanitarian with a huge heart for helping people. He is also an expert in HeartMath, a topic I'm sure you'll find fascinating and perfect for the month of February, our month of love. One thing you'll notice about Zissis is his warm personality and commitment to helping others. Welcome to the show today, Zissis. How are you doing?
Shari, thank you so much for having me on the show and the opportunity to discuss on all matters with the heart.
Oh, absolutely. And I'd love to share a little bit about your background with the audience before we start. Zissis is a transformational coach, conscious teacher, HeartMath trainer, heart imagery teacher, and living in the heart mentor. Working with heart-based modalities, Zissis has seen significant shifts with others through his coaching and through corporate and first responder clients, bringing much relief from event-related stress incidents and trauma. The understanding and real-life experiences of the power and intelligence of the heart has been the driving force. His purpose and life mission is to help awaken our heart's intelligence in as many people as possible, bringing a more coherent consciousness on the planet, and by extension, healing oneself and radiating more love. He has a quote from Einstein that said, "Love is power because it multiplies the best we have and allows humanity not to be extinguished in their blind selfishness." If we want our species to survive and to find the meaning of life, if we want to save the world and every sentient being that inhabits it, love is the one and only answer. It is the variable that we have ignored too long. In this time of great change, love is the only answer. I love that quote. Thank you so much for that beautiful sharing of information.
Thank you, Shari. And I find it interesting in where we are in this unique place. I'm excited with where we are because we're watching the paradigms of the old, the masculine systems, crumble and really embodying the feminine principles of the heart. And doesn't love always drive itself to love? All human experiences eventually unfold back into love, regardless of what it is, anger, all emotions, they all go back into love.
Right. And we were discussing that a little bit earlier about not so much being in our ego and being more fear-based, but coming truly from an open heart and thinking of us as a whole, and not just ourselves. So
as a population, I think we've been incapacitated with the brain too much. Yeah. You know, we're primarily fixed within the mind, and the mind has two hemispheres, and you're always going to get a polarity within those hemispheres. So whatever thought you're going to have, you're always going to create the other aspect of that polarity. Whereas the heart is very unique in that way. It is the point of singularity. And I can talk a little bit about that from a physiological perspective.
Sure.
So I consider myself a heart worker beyond anything else. There are other labels like transformational coach or healer, but beyond that, I consider myself a heart worker. The heart, the physiological muscle, is important in the way that it provides our sustenance from our blood and our nutrients within that blood. But there are other things some people may not be aware of regarding the heart. Back in the late 1800s, scientists had discovered that the heart actually has 3 times the amount of signals to the brain as the brain has to the heart. So the way the way we perceive is really coming from a signal within the heart. The heart is more magnetically powerful than the brain. It is more electrically powered than the brain. And something a little bit more contentious, although it is proven scientifically, that is, when the heart pumps, there is an electromagnetic wave that comes. It's a toroidal field.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about toroidal fields, a lot of living sentient things produce toroidal fields. Our bodies produce living. Mother Earth produces a toroidal field. The universe produces a toroidal field. And on the field itself, and this can be measured. So HeartMath has done clinical studies where the field of the first field is about 4 inches, and the second wave is, or the second field associated with that donut is about 4 feet. But there are other scientists that believe that it could be as high as 64 feet out. So what does that mean exactly? So every time you produce a heartbeat, you produce electromagnetic wave, and on that wave, this carrier wave, is encoded your emotions. So every time you go and you have an emotion, that emotion is carried within this heart wave, as it were, and both of us can produce and absorb. So sometimes you go into a room, or when you're really attuned and you're picking up energy from people, you're like, oh my God, this person has great energy, or this person has, this person is off. Your subconscious is interpreting those sounds.
Interesting. Yeah, that's fascinating. Now, is that similar to auras, or or is that a little bit different than an aura?
It is, and it isn't, in the sense that energetically, the auras are produced with an electric field, and it's the whole body.
Right.
And I would imagine the heart produces a specific action associated with that.
Okay, yeah. And it's interesting too, because your quote from Einstein is, if we're all energetic fields, essentially, then we're all interconnected, and we can actually feel, see, process energy from each other. It makes sense almost scientifically, I think.
Right. And the aspect we focus on, I focus on, is coherence.
Yes.
And when I say coherence, it's the optimal state between the heart, mind, and the emotions that are aligned and in sync. And when you are in a state of coherence, you have, increased longevity, increased creativity, increased problem solving, improved performance and achievement. There are many positive aspects associated with that. Okay. Also, being in coherence, as it were, you're also tapping into the Earth's resonant frequency. Okay. So this is why you get more increased in creativity, the ability to tap in intuitively as well. Okay. So coherence is the optimal state in every moment. And that requires what I call renewing emotions. Things like compassion, courage, kindness, love, all these emotions associated with your thoughts.
And is coherence being in alignment, or could you define exactly what that term means? Because some of us aren't as familiar with it per se.
So I look at it as you can't be in the brain.
Okay.
So it's a singular aspect. When we think about things, we think about things within our head, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. Very few people drop within our hearts.
Yes.
And so coherence is the creating the pathway between the heart and the brain, aligning that. And so when that becomes aligned, you are in a state of coherence, your emotions become aligned, and that's what creates that state.
Okay, interesting. And how would you say, as we are brought up in our lives, how do we not learn to do that? Or were we that way as children and we kind of unlearn, and it's something we've got to get back into, or kind of what is the natural state, I guess, of coherence, so to speak?
Well, there's a couple of things that I can suggest. Self-awareness is primarily the first tool that I would bring people, and different and people would have a different spectrum of where their self-awareness is. Understanding who you are in relation to other people and other incidents and how you react, and I think that's an important part. So self-awareness is number one.
Okay.
And as you recognize that self-awareness, your thoughts are critically important in that. So your thoughts and the thoughts you are exposed to, whether it be it through an individual, through programming, whether it's TV, radio, internet, our eyes, nutrition within the mouth is not the only thing. I look at the eyes and ears as a form of intake of nutrition as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the ability for you to feed yourself nutrient things is also allows you then to become more coherent, as it were.
Okay, good, good. And I know you talk a little bit about like heart imagery. What exactly is that concept?
Right. So that's whereas HeartMath is more science-based, heart
Okay,
imagery is more spiritual-based.
okay,
It's an ancient form from Tibet where it is a process where I guide you to go into aspects of your sacred parts of your heart. And when we drop into that part of your heart, then there's specific images that I guide you through. Then that allows emotional release, that allows healing, that allows a whole bunch of stuff.
okay,
And that's what heart imagery is specifically. The premise is that everything that everything is an image before it becomes act. Visualization is the act of an image, and from that image is a thought, and the thought then is created into reality, and the ability then to create specific images for healing.
okay. And just out of curiosity, how long has HeartMath been around? Like, what's a little bit of its history per se? Because I know I've heard of it, but I wasn't very familiar with it, which is why I was so excited to have you today to talk about this.
So HeartMath has been around since 1991.
Okay.
It's got over 300 peer-reviewed papers.
Okay.
It's been in the military industry. It's been in the corporate world. It's been primarily in the policing, and I did talk about military and first responders, and education, and healthcare as well. So it's all in all aspects and all facets of life. There's been incredible results from my colleagues that I keep in touch with. There's amazing HeartMath instructors in Florida that I know personally as well.
And I know you talked about doing work with first responders. I'd love to hear more information about that, how you've been able to help there.
Well, caring for those that care for others is really the motto there. A lot of our first responders, especially now from police, ambulance, 911 operators, the ability for them to reframe their experience so they can attain more resilience, which is the capacity and to prepare for and react to stressful situations.
Mm-hmm.
So then they can have a little bit more juice within their battery, so they can serve the community in the way that they're serving. It's been my experiences with first responders. It hasn't been as in depth as I would like it to, obviously because of where we are with the pandemic. But I'm hoping as this lifts, then we can be more engaged with that.
Yeah. I know too that you've worked with other organizations, like you've got a men's group that you work with. Can you tell us a little bit about like how you started that, and like what are you hoping to accomplish with that?
Right. So I've got a YouTube channel called Elevate Me Academy. And in the process of this pandemic, my business partner at the time, we thought, let's create content. Let's be intentional with what we create. And so I supported her and her divine feminine, and she had some amazing speakers talking about spiritual aspects and world aspects of it. And then a little time later, it was important for me then to congregate a group of conscious men, and conscious, you can take it for what it is. And we're up about 18 roundtables. And again, we discuss everything from emotions, sacred sexuality. We discuss everything in a very, I think, authentic and transparent way, primarily for other men and role models for other men. I think men require more facilitation in healing themselves and making it okay to be vulnerable or authentic or more empowered within who they are. Because the moment that we collectively, both men and women, can heal and unite and not have this fighting of the sexes as we see, and re-traumatize ourselves all the time, I think then that's the world I want to live in.
Yeah. And if someone were to start like a HeartMath program or like coaching services that you might offer, what is the process they would go through? Is there like an evaluation, or maybe take me through a little bit of a scenario of how that might work?
Right. So, you get in touch with me, we would set up a 15-minute call because, it's important for me to, not all relationships are perfect in guiding through this process. I may not be the right coach, right? It's important for me that if you're going to be spending any money, that you get the maximal benefit out of that. And that requires you to put the effort to doing so. So I like to assess where we collectively we are in the process. And then from that, it's a 1 hour session for 5 weeks.
Okay.
And we go through exercises, we go through education, reprogramming of sorts within the heart. Yeah. That's really where it is. Yeah.
Okay. And what benefits would you say people will get out of this type of coaching? What would they come away with?
There's many benefits associated, but ultimately it's the ability to react to stressful situations and have more empowerment in how you react to those stressful situations.
Yeah.
I'll give you a good example. When I started in a while back, 2015 or so, I was the type of person that did not bode well when I was in traffic. I would be completely beside myself in traffic. Yeah. And understanding more about the exercises that I did with myself when I was in traffic. In fact, I have this, which clips onto your ear, essentially, and it frames coherence. So when you're in an optimal state, it'll go green. And if you drop down to blue, that's your kind of awareness of where it is. And then it goes to red when you're not in a coherent state. Yeah. So I use this HRV sensor is what it's called. When I was driving, as I was doing my exercises, and then anchoring those states. And now when I'm in traffic, I'm completely blissed out, Shari. I'm
okay. What become your trigger?
Completely blissed out.
I know we've all had so much stress this past year. And even the beginning of this year, as we were discussing a little bit earlier, it's been a tiny bit stressful. I know it will all kind of turn around. So it's always nice to have tools that can help us manage our lives better, where we can come to a stop and say, you know what, I know I'm reacting the way that I always have reacted, but I want to do it differently. I want to be more in control of what's on the inside of me and, be more empowered and able to take on these stressful situations so I don't keep attracting more of those stressful situations. So I do, definitely appreciate everything you're telling us today.
A lot of that has to be individuals being aware in this moment. Yeah. A lot of the stress comes in from future projections or past incidences. Yes. And that's what creates the stress.
Yeah.
Being in control of your current situation in this now moment will create the future of what you want.
Right.
And that's the true mastery, is being grounded in this particular moment.
Yes, I so agree with you. So often we have something small go wrong in our day, but we keep processing it over and over and over. And all day long, we're thinking about that bad thing that happened, a long time ago. At this point, maybe a couple hours ago, and we don't stay grounded and present in the now, and life is so much better than what we realize at times, and we just kind of get stuck in our patterns. And it's
I think we're incredibly powerful beings, and some of us haven't realized that yet. To your example, this particular small thought has the potential of magnifying your thought process. Let's say that you wake up in the morning and you stump your toe, right? And then that thought is always carried, that pain is always carried. That allows then more negativity within your thought to be coming down your way. And it's a cascade of events unless you actually create this circuit breaker where it's like, it's going to be an amazing day, or having positive intentions with how your day is going to unfold, as it were. You don't have to believe me. Try it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me, you had mentioned something about possibly getting some free sessions, or some mini sessions that would give folks a little bit of exposure to, HeartMath in general, I think. Is that correct? Or
Yes, absolutely correct. Actually, I'm really excited because HeartMath, the organization and the institute, has really stepped up in serving the community, not only in what they're doing, but empowering them as well. So if people want to understand what HeartMath is, I'm going to give you a link that then you can publish for all your viewers. It's called the HeartMath Experience. You could probably, if you just type it into your search bar and just say, the HeartMath Experience, you just register. And once you register, you have access to 10 videos, and they're about anywhere between 20 to 50 minutes long. You can do it at your own pace. The experience itself requires your engagement and your involvement. So the more you involve and the more you engage, the more positive effects associated with it. And if it resonates with you, if you actually find positive results, then I would encourage you to look at HeartMath coaches within your area, or HeartMath trainers within your area, to have further engagement. It doesn't have to be me, because I believe in non-competition. I believe that the more we can support each other in this beautiful journey that we all benefit.
Yes, and I am actually flashing your email address so that way folks can also get in touch with you directly for your services and information and help that you can provide them. So I'm showing that right now. And any other comments that you'd like to add today about what we've kind of been discussing?
All I would say to people is, regardless of what you see in the external world, you are you are empowered to change your own reality. And as you change your own reality, what we start doing collectively as a human population, changing that consciousness and being in that state of coherence, Shari, that 1%, all it's required is 1%. If we can collectively in the world get into the state of coherence in whatever fashion that is, then we have the ability to shift consciousness in that way in the betterment for all living things on this planet.
Yes, and I love that. And very much every morning I try to meditate most mornings and try to send love out to the entire world. I actually do it continent by continent, and I try to do a visualization. And that's what I'm trying to achieve, that if at least for one moment in my day, even if it gets a little out of kilter here and there, that I'm in alignment and sending that love out. And I think you're right. If everyone else does the same thing for, your own benefit, but also, just to be, remember that we all are part of this big, beautiful world that we live in. And it can be so much better and so much more positively focused if we just shift our attention and focus just, a tiny bit. So,
well, as we talked about before we got on, I think it's the perception that you hold within yourself that allows it for your evolution, because I believe everything happens for us, not to us, for us. And the ability to perceive, to say, why is this happening for me? What is my greater understanding?
Right.
And once that is understood, then, there isn't those, because a lot of us are all about control. I want to control this. I want to control that. I want to control this. But letting go and being vulnerable and allowing things to naturally evolve as they need to, and having that self-reflective and awareness, is really our freedom ultimately.
Yeah, I love that. And I've got your email address there. So if folks want to get in touch with you, they will do so, and they can check out the HeartMath website that you were talking about as well. And now I'm going to share just briefly my email address. If anyone is interested in my novel, Journey of the Lightworker, you can look on my website, shariahembry.com. I do have links to Barnes & Noble and Amazon. It actually is on sale on Amazon, 25 to 50% off. It depends. It kind of shifts a little bit each day on the pricing. And I offer 3 free meditations if you sign up for my newsletter. And Zissis, I am so excited to have had you today as a guest. I think it was a wonderful topic. I do hope that folks will check out your services and come from a more of a heart-based perspective.
Thank you, Shari. I look forward to future conversations.
Yes, absolutely. And everyone, please remember to shine your light out in the world, because we need you. Thank you so much, and namaste.
Namaste.